She finds really hard not being active anymore. It's like it's putting everything away for her.
Dr. Gilmore wants to make Mona more comfortable.
Can you sleep lying flat, Mona? Do you
No,
need? You don't need a.
I need pillows.
You need some pillows. Okay. Why is that?
Why are you putting pillows in, Mum? Well, one thing so I can see the telly.
Okay.
Right.
Does anything happen if you get?
As Mona puts Dr. Gilmore right, the nursing team look into Mona's medication. Their years of experience with hundreds of different patients provide a vital support to junior doctors.
You can tell a lot with a bag of tablets, and it's amazing how many patients will come in and say, you ask them, have you got any medical history? And they say, no medical history. And then you say, what tablets are you on? And then they list about 2 pages long. And so then you can start being like guessing, Miss Marple, and think, oh, well, they've got underactive thyroid.
High blood pressure.
They need something
Diabetes.
yeah, as years go by, you get to ken what a lot of the medications are and what they're for.
Working out Mona's medications will help the A&E team get her back on track. Community is at the heart of the Gilbert Bain Hospital, so a close bond between nurses and doctors is key to a happy working relationship. From birthday celebrations to downtime tea drinking and chat in the quieter moments. It's all about supporting one another.
Amy, weak with milk and 2 sugars. Kathy, what are you having?
I'm normal.
She's
Believe it or
normal.
not.
Kathy's normal.
This morning, senior A&E and surgical doctor Kushik Lala is making tea for the nurses, watched by Thelma Irvin and Kathy Duffus.
Okay, what do you do?
And that's the teapot. Water
So-
into the teapot.
Water into the teapot.
That's it. Okay, well done.
That's really good.
See?
Not
Okay.
bad for the first attempt.
Now, where's the home baked?
Doesn't even know where the biscuits are kept.
It was your turn to bring the cakes today.
You're pushing it now.
But supporting a small rural community doesn't always mean a quiet A&E. The pace can change in a heartbeat, as Shetland's remote island location brings a whole new meaning to urgent emergency care. As the United Kingdom's most remote hospital, the Gilbert Bain must evacuate hundreds of people each year for specialist treatment on the mainland. This morning, senior staff nurse Amanda Brown is keeping a close eye on 57-year-old Marine storeman and dad of 3, Walter. He's arrived in from Verkey, 22 miles south of Lerwick. A big journey is just about to begin for him, as he needs transferring for treatment to hospital in Aberdeen.
We've been in conversation with Aberdeen CCU, and they are got a bed available for him. We're been on the phone and just arranging air ambulance. We're waiting back for a time. He's got a right sense of humour, is this one, eh?
We're all right, aye.
Walter is suffering severe chest pains and has been in A&E since 4:45 a.m. As the Gilbert Bain doesn't specialise in heart treatment, Aberdeen is the best place for Walter to be cared for. As he waits to be transferred, Nurse Amanda is keeping him stable by attempting to manage his pain.
And you ken the drill, you tell me if you feel too woozy.
You can give me as much as you want, as long as
He's
it takes this
wanting
pain
more-
away.
he's
As
want-
long as it takes the pain away.
Yeah.
Like the doctors and surgeons at the Gilbert Bain, the nurses here are also trained as generalists. They're prepared for a variety of different conditions coming through the door every day. Nurse Amanda explains to Walter what will happen once he flies into Aberdeen.
They'll be wanting to go in and have a look at your arteries and see whether you're going to need an operation, whether it might be stents or whether it might even need to be a bypass operation. That's something that they'll be able to tell you.
Walter was feeling fine until an unexpected pain came on about 5 days ago.
I started getting this pain Friday night on my shoulder, and I thought it was just sort of achy muscles, clear up for a bit and that. And then, well, that was yesterday, it came on really bad, and it was coming and going, 3:30, 4 o'clock, something like that. This is getting, you know, too painful now, too serious.
At this stage, the communication between the two hospitals is vital. Junior doctor Judith Gilmore delivers the results of Walter's ECG.
The cardiologists have looked at your ECGs from here. Okay, they've looked at them in Aberdeen, and they think you are having a heart attack. All right. You probably could have told us that yourself. So we're going to give you a medication. We think there's a clot blocking part of the blood supply to part of the wall of your heart. Okay. And what we're going to do, we're going to give you some medication to try and help break that down. And then we're going to be transferring you down to Aberdeen, and they'll do that angiogram, okay, and they'll have a look at what's happening in the heart. And you know, we've spoken to the air ambulance, and we're getting you lined up for moving down.
With Walter experiencing uncomfortable bouts of pain, the nurses work hard to stabilise him before he can travel. "76-year-old Mona from Scalloway has had 2 falls at home. She's been vomiting too, decreasing the effectiveness of regular medication. Consultant physician Professor Chris Isles is on hand to help find the best solution.
So, if I've got the story right, you have had a pituitary gland removed some years back?
2015.
2015. And you take medication to replace some of the hormones that you're missing?
I took 2 hydrocortisone in the morning, first thing, and 1 at dinner time.
Right, well the odds are all we need to do is bring you in and give you some steroids intravenously until the whole thing will settle. But I would just like to have a quick listen to your heart and lungs and feel your tummy to make sure there's nothing else going on. How about that?
That's all right with
Okay,
me, yes.
all right.
Judging by Mona's shirt, she's a bit of a fan of our local footy team.
Are these the colours of Scalloway
That's
FC?
right, yes.
Are they any good?
Well, they used to be. Very good. They have their moments.
You didn't play for them?
I did.
You did play for them?
Yes. I used to play for the ladies.
For the
team.
Scalloway ladies?
Yes.
Hang on a minute.
Back in the day.
I wanted to make sure there was no evidence of pneumonia or lung infection, and there isn't. And the tummy's nice and soft, and the heart is beating regularly.
With no sign of pneumonia, Professor Isles moves on to Mona's mobility.
That's not too bad. So you had back pain for some time?
Yes.
That's got worse since you fell?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And if there has been no recent x-ray of your spine, then it would be quite reasonable just to check.
Yeah.
Sometimes when people get to your age,
That's just 16.
just they can just crush the vertebrae in the spine, and that can give you the sort of back pain you're describing. So I think we'll have a look at that first. We'll look at that for you.
So we're concerned about her mobility. Hopefully they'll be able to help her with her relief of pain in her back.
On Shetland, you're never more than 3 miles from the sea. And with its location at the heart of Europe's richest fishing grounds, the Gilbert Bain sees a fair whack of fishing-related injuries. And today, there's a catch that might just outfox the team, hook, line and sinker.
I'm going to take your name. What's your first name, surname?
Staff nurse Marie Stemp is tasked with trying to find out exactly what's happened to French fisherman Jimmy. Problem is, he doesn't speak a word of English.
He's on a fishing boat. He's sustained an injury whilst on board. Originally, he's from France.
Yes.
Yeah,
Boulogne.
yeah. Boulogne, in France. Okay. Never been. Don't speak any French. No. We'll get you sorted though.
Like all of the Gilbert Baines nurses, Marie is often the first to assess patients. But if you don't speak the same language, it can get tricky.
En fait, mon pied il passe en dessous d'un tapis et il s'est retourné dans le tapis.
Jimmy is a commercial trawlerman. His boat catches anglerfish, monkfish and haddock around Scotland, Norway and Denmark. Jimmy was brought in by a friend after he twisted his foot falling down a hole in the boat's hold.
Et on m'a tiré pour me débloquer ma jambe qui était bloquée.
Did the foot go that way or did the foot go that way?
Comme ça.
This way. And pain is over here, obviously. Sore.
Yes.
That's painful.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's sore. Okay. Being the island, it's usually the nearest port to call for most like vessels or offshore rigs. So we do tend to get quite a lot of they don't speak English as their first language, but we usually get there in the end.
So far so good for Nurse Marie and Frenchman Jimmy. Now, Junior Doctor Hazel Thompson will examine Le Monsieur.
Hello. Oh, bonjour. My name's Dr. Thompson. I'm one of the doctors.
Okay.
I understand your English is not too good.
No English.
No French. Can I have a look at your foot?
Yes.
Cool.
No.
Not okay. At medical school, you're taught to get the right story of why the patient has ended up in front of you. So if I know that someone can't speak another language, I'll still try and say hello and smile. It's all about trying to get information.
After the warm hello, Dr. Thompson reveals a clever way to communicate. An online translation tool.
I want to get an X-ray of your foot. Radiography. Yeah. Un moment.
An X-ray should give a clearer picture of Jimmy's injury. Senior A&E and surgical doctor Kushik Lala will help Dr. Thompson interpret the results. As the senior doctor on duty, he's always on hand to support the juniors.
But his leg is very swollen. How swollen?
Swollen.
To absolutely confirm, Dr. Lala takes a look at Jimmy's foot.
Where's the most pain? There or there? There. No. That one? And that one. That one's okay.
But he needs to be aware that he has to rest and keep it elevated. That's the most important thing.
The good news is that Jimmy's X-ray confirms this isn't a fracture. Soft tissue damage is the problem.
Okay.
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 For Dr. Lala, patients like Jimmy add a little je ne sais quoi to the day job.
I love the interesting stuff. I think if I were involved in one particular area in medicine the entire time, I don't think I would cope very well. It's that constant change that something different can be done is what I find interesting.
Jimmy's case is certainly unusual, but making sure he knows how to look after that foot is crucial. So it's back to the translation tool.
Okay.
Now it's Jimmy's turn to ask questions. It's getting confusing.
I'm not sure.
So Dr. Thompson gives another explanation one last go.
And I just want to make sure we're not missing anything from what happened.
No.
No?
Finally, everything is très bien. So Dr. Thompson says merci to Jimmy for his patience.
Thank you.
Then checks his treatment plan is in place.
Pain relief go home.
And he understands he needs to keep it elevated, and he does look quite comfortable.
There's enough boat traffic from different parts of the world. Usually their English is good, which makes my job easy. But it just reminds me that I should get on and learn a language. That you've written it all in French. Get you, Marie.
Jimmy is staying in a hotel tonight, giving him a chance to decide whether it's home to France to recover.
George is coming for you in about 5 minutes. Does that make sense?
Ok.
Okay.
Au revoir.
Mon chéri. Is that what you say?
The wait is almost over for Walter, as he prepares for transfer to the coronary care unit in Aberdeen. On a journey involving a specially chartered plane and 2 ambulances, Walter needs to be escorted by a highly trained nurse who will monitor his condition, pain relief, medication and oxygen levels.
I got a phone call this morning about 7:30 for Barbara saying there was a gentleman come in with ST depression on his ECG, having a lot of chest pain, quite a young gentleman, 57-year-old, and they were wanting to get him out to coronary care. So got out the bed, chased the bairns to school. Hello, hello, hi, up to mischief?
Aye.
Hi guys. I'm here. You'll be like, oh my God, it's not her.
Senior staff nurse Emma Williamson takes on extra nursing duties to support the patients who need to be transferred by air ambulance.
The air ambulance, again, when you're coming in, you're not been looking after that patient often, so you're coming in and depending how fast the plane's going to be here, you're looking for a handover, you're needing to know what's been wrong with that patient, what's been going on. I like to have a plan, so I'm sort of planned in my head already if things go wrong, what I'm going to do. How's the feeling?
Not so bad there.
Yeah, how's the pain?
That's eased right off.
Is it there at all?
Just a wee bit.
Just like out of 10?
Probably less as 1.
Okay, so if you feel unwell at all, anything, you let me know. Behave. Sometimes for here as well, I'll make decisions around how much oxygen we need, how much monitoring we need, what drugs I'm going to take that I know they're going to have on the air ambulance that might be sort of disease specific to that person. If I'm really quite uncomfortable about something, I'll call the consultant in and I'll say, are you happy for me to go with this? This isn't the plan. Yes, do this. And Annie, the gentleman that's going to coronary care, and I just wondered if you wanted to review him just before we go.
Transporting patients isn't a decision made lightly, and it's important that Walter is stable before he travels.
Sometimes the most risky thing with patients is actually moving them. And there's been a lot of sort of research into it, and there's a lot of red flags around the moving of patients. Often the first thing that goes before somebody can become very ill is that their oxygen demand starts to increase and their respiratory rate starts to increase. So that's what's concerning me, that that he's having a wee bit more of demand for oxygen. So I just want the consultant to review him.
Having got the green light from the consultant, Nurse Emma and Walter are finally on their way.
Hey, thanks guys.
See you. So it begins.
After an overnight in hospital, football fanatic Mona is ready to be discharged.
If we count up from the lumbar spine, that's the 5th one, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. She's crushed the 1st lumbar vertebrae. She's also got a crush fracture of the 12th thoracic vertebrae there. And that's probably because of thin bones. That's just what we call osteoporosis.
So rest and recovery at home will help. Mona will also get a follow-up blood test and will be kept under observation by her own doctor.
you are feeling an awful lot better.
Oh, great lot
better.
yeah.
How's the pain in your back?
It's pretty good.
As far as the vomiting is concerned, I think I've just given you the intravenous hydrocortisone for 24 hours and that seems to have done the trick.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so we'll put you back onto your usual hydrocortisone. After you've gone home, I'll write a letter to Dr. Fryer, who runs a clinic, and just to make sure he follows you up to make sure we've got the dose of that right. Happy with that?
Can I go home?
You can go home. Very good.
Good, yes.
Very nice seeing you. Right then. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
"57-year-old Walter is embarking on the 25-mile journey to Sumburgh Airport with senior staff nurse Emma Williamson. He'll be transferred by air ambulance to the coronary care unit in Aberdeen.
When we get on the plane, I'll just recheck the obs. His heart rate, that's fine, Barry. So blood pressure. How are you feeling?
I'm alright.
You want me to increase the GTN? Okay. Just keep that on there for a minute, darling. It should be all right. Okie dokie. Yep. You guys good to go?
we're ready. Yeah.
Having arrived at Sumburgh Airport, Nurse Emma updates the air ambulance paramedics on Walter's condition. She'll also travel with him to the mainland to ensure he doesn't deteriorate.
Some of the patients we're going with now are quite like high dependency style patients. Hi guys. Fine, how are you? I've been enjoying your photos. Hi. So we're on the pre-one. Right, I'll get on.
Now it's time to get prepared on board while Walter is carefully transferred to the plane.
You want it, right? Thanks anyway, guys. Okay.
Nurse Emma will monitor him across the flight. Having a qualification in nurse prescribing, she can increase or decrease pain relief and medication as required. Within an hour, it's descent time into the Granite City.
We're down.
I've never approached them from this side.
After around a 200-mile journey, Walter lands in Aberdeen and is taken by ambulance to hospital where he'll receive specialist treatment.
He's looking much better.
For air ambulance nurses like Emma, this is a routine trip as they escort patients regularly.
It's your lucky day.
Righty-ho.
Country folk are hardy, lads, I'm telling you.
And with Walter in safe hands, all Nurse Emma has to do now is say a heartfelt goodbye.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Right.
You take care.
Footy obsessive Mona is back home in her beloved village of Scalloway with her family. Husband Martin and daughters Marcia and Morag are keeping a close eye on her recovery.
How's your back today?
Pretty good, touch wood, hairy wood.
But you're looking a lot better.
Thank you.
You've got colour in your face
And
again.
I've got my lipstick on.
With plenty of rest, Mona's back is slowly healing after her 2 falls. And to keep her occupied as she recovers, she's keeping a keen eye on village life.
I like calm, I like to be able to watch what's going on. Nosy.
We need to keep her upright and keep her fit and well.
Trying.
As long as she does what she's told.
Well, I am.
While the back is on the mend, Morag's keen to make sure Mona manages her medications properly, so they can do the vital job they need to.
Sometimes she just doesn't drink enough and then she gets dehydrated and it's like a domino effect. I add this pretty things that happen to her. And
I do what I'm told.
They
the
just,
bottle is here.
They just get her
Get it on camera, Stephen. But I'm drinking plenty, so I'm not going in.
With Mona sticking to the plan to get her better and doing what she's told, she's also determined to stay where she loves best.
I wouldn't stay in Aberdeen, Glasgow or nowhere, just Scalloway. And I was born and bred here.
Shetland is a summer haven for light nights and outdoor pursuits. From mid-May to mid-July, the islands enjoy what's known here as the simmer dim, when the sun only dips below the northern horizon for a few hours a day. This brings almost 19 hours of sunshine to an amazing backdrop for bird life. Here, 465 different species have been recorded. For Senior Staff Nurse Emma Williamson, it's an off-duty opportunity for late-night adventures, exploring one of Shetland's 80-plus uninhabited islands.
Tonight we're going to island just off of mainland Shetland, Kenmusa. It'll be quite good. I've never been like across on a canoe like this before, so there's a first for everything.
Situated at exactly 60 degrees north, the uninhabited island of Musa is an important nature reserve and a popular destination for visitors to Shetland.
Bye guys!
Tonight, Emma is travelling with her brother Jamie, as well as a bunch of close friends. It's a bonding session in one of the most stunning parts of the UK.
I am actually physically fit, but I've got a nurse's problem, which is a really bad back. Aha, that's much easier. Okay.
Bye-bye! They're heading on a 1.5-mile journey to Musa through the choppy waters of Musa Sound. It might look like early evening to most of us, but this excursion is actually kicking off at a light and bright 9:45 p.m.
Hard work, especially if you pay attention to how you're meant to do it in the beginning.
After about an hour of exploring, it's time to moor up on Musa, take a rest and have some food. In the summer, it's often midnight before it gets really dark. Tonight, though, the water is choppier than expected, so everyone is soaking.
I'll see if anybody else has got any dry breeks I could get.
It's not just wet breeks that are a problem.
I just heard a rumbly noise and we turned around and the canoe was sliding back down the beach.
There's 3 of them sort of jumped in to rescue the boat, but I've not even been underwater and I'm sure